At its best, this movie offers sci-fi direction with some decent spectacle perfectly suited for the IMAX screen. It's visually interesting. Unfortunately, this movie a case of hype over substance. This frequently monotonous and unimaginative movie is a disappointing bore. The plot is lazy and weak as the movie is a rambling, disjointed, self-indulgent mess that does nothing innovative for movies about UFOs. The script is half-baked and desperately needs a rewrite. The movie doesn't really have a story or anything close to one. It feels more like an idea than a story. It's a collection of individual scenes as opposed to an intriguing whole. It has a situation, but it doesn't develop. It more or less stays where it starts, with grander and louder versions of essentially the same scene. The audience wants substance, and all it can give is some sort of filler. It's definitely lacking momentum and characters that would have benefited from stronger development. The script constantly stops short of adding up all the moving parts into a whole movie. It feels like a director is stuck between trying to craft an entertaining blockbuster monster movie and wanting to carve out greater thematic depth from his fascinating premise. Unlike the director's previous movies, there's no brilliant plot or even a clever plot twist in this movie. It's just a tedious, badly structured movie about some people who see a UFO in the sky and decide to visually document it because they think it will make them rich and famous. The film's unwieldiness could be excused if it weren't so bloated. Intriguing subplots are dangled in front of the audience only to be left hanging. The narrative is split into individual chapters that destroy the pacing. There's a flashback that's so random and out of place, and this flashback is then never referred to or explained again in the movie. There's a suspenseful scene, but it almost has no bearing on the overall story and seems to be in the movie only for some shock value. The film has an interesting setup with its characters, especially the two leads. Unfortunately, the cast members of this movie are stuck portraying hollow characters with vague backstories and a lot of cringe-worthy or monotonous dialogue. It feels like the director is uninterested in exploring the inner lives of his characters, who largely coast on repetitive punchlines and cloying sentimentality. There's also an unwillingness to let this movie tell a story beyond winking references. The movie's visual effects are decent, but definitely not spectacular for a movie concept of this scope, and many of the action scenes have some rather bad editing. Most of the so-called comedy in this movie is fleeting and often falls flat. Overall, this movie is dull. It's a 135-minute bore where the filmmaker is unable to make even an alien attack exciting. We do not recommend to watch this in theaters. Just wait on your streaming service.